There are so many indies making great games. They're doing it on their own. They're making little own companies, and you never know when something is just going to break out and change the world. It's going to happen again. Like Minecraft did it. It's going to happen again. We just don't know when or how or where. But people are, experimenting all the time.
That was John Romero talking about what he's excited about right now in games is the indie scene. And I agree too. It feels like there's some really cool stuff that's kind of bubbling up on Steam from like Lethal Company and BattleBits and Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors is the one.
I started playing that. You posted about that the other day.
It's so good.
You got it's so simple and it's so good. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Good for them.
There's a lot of, and the boomer shooters that are coming back. There's a lot of good games there. There's a lot of good.
There was a reference. I was looking for through the transcript of this episode, and there's a reference to boomer metal. So stick around. No spoilers, but stick around for boomer metal. Well, I think we need to welcome everybody back for a second season.
Season 2. Yeah, this is technically episode 1, right?
It's just gonna be more of the same. So keep your expectations in check. There's one thing I wrote this down.
People just literally clicked off explain jargon.
Explain jargon. That's my note. That's my note for this season. My wife Laura sometimes like,
oh right, because a lot of people say stuff. Yeah.
Hey, you guys were talking about what's fatui? What is that?
Yeah,
that sounds like a curse word or something. Yeah,
that was from the.
We'll do our best to explain
Marvel Snap
some
episode.
of our. Yeah, that's right. It was good memory. Hey, those guys. They just did a big fundraiser.
They did a big fundraiser. They're kind of indie too, right? If you think about it, they're fun. Are they indie? They're like,
I guess.
There's a spectrum there, right? They're kind of like
they raised a bunch of money. They did a big publishing deal. Now they raised a bunch more. Is that still indie? What defines indie?
Not one of the big 3.
I don't know. Somebody posted. I saw this chart on LinkedIn. I think it was on LinkedIn where somebody was defining AAA as like, hey, it's greater than $500 million in revenue and a team size of more than 100 or 50 or something like that. And then AA as 50 million and up. And then, no, it's revenue, and then like indie was team size of less than 25 people or something. I don't know. It was
Vampire Survivors is one dude. It got a BAFTA and he did it like on his free time, I think, while working at like a corporate gig, like a bank or something. And that made like $3 trillion. So is that like, okay? I always isn't it funding? Would it be funding and not revenue?
There's another thing I saw somebody posted III.
What is that? What does that mean?
It's like really good indie, I guess. I don't know. III?
III. That's neat.
I don't know. Do we really need to label everything?
That's so good. Do we have to name everything? That's what
I don't think
that's
we need
what
to
Darwin did, right? Isn't that what isn't that like kind of like a science thing? Like everything. That's what the task we've been given by God.
You're thinking of survival of the fittest. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, it was to name the that's right.
I don't quite think LinkedIn is a religious experience so much, but
it's not. Well, maybe for some.
Yeah. Well, we're very excited about our second season here. We are in this very episode. We are giving away an OLED Steam Deck.
Oh, right.
Yeah. We're going to
play Vampire Survivors on.
Exactly. But we're going to do our little drawing from the list of all of you who have been so kind to support us on our Kickstarter, kind to show up on our Discord and send us lovely messages or to just tweet at us. Thank you, everyone, for the support over the break. We had a great off season. And we'll do our drawing and we'll be giving away that Steam Deck. So excited to do that. And thanks to our friends at Shifty Eye Games for making that possible.
Yeah, thanks for that.
So what else we got? I mean, big episode today.
Big episode. And I was thinking about the game Doom and how it kind of changed. And he kind of talks about it in the podcast. And I was thinking about just how big how much that game changed the whole, like were you inspired by Doom when you did your game?
Oh, if it wasn't for Wolfenstein and Doom, not sure we would have gone that
route.
Absolutely, that direction.
Because you were the only other one, right? You were like, it was Doom, and then Mac didn't have Doom, right?
Well,
It
we
was
were
just
the
marathon.
only FPS or even 3D texture map game on the Mac for a while. There were others in that time period, but we were the first, and Marathon certainly was the biggest one on the Mac. But there was a lot of stuff happening on the PC in that time. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
game
It
wise. Yeah, I
wasn't.
remember the
Yeah,
joke was
yeah.
Mac had 4 games. And then the PC had everything
Well,
else.
let's just say that was a really smart strategy on our part
It
to,
was, yeah. It's
operate
like,
in the underserved market. Yeah, we'll
that's
say that.
good. But I was thinking, like, that game. Okay? So, what was the last game in in recent history? The last thing that has been that big? Would you say Battle Royale, like as a game mode?
Mm,
Maybe. And then before that,
yeah,
Minecraft as like a
Minecraft. I would definitely put
that
Minecraft in there.
Minecraft Battle Royale. Battle Royale is pretty big now. Like what else has there been?
I might put League in that
Oh,
category
right.
as
The MOBAs. That's
being
right.
sort of like, well, and not even just MOBA, but like really the first kind of AAA free to play game like that.
I think the next big thing is going to be, and I'm not just saying this because that's what we're doing, but I really think it's going to be the metaverse, like games and games, like a game inside another game. You know what I mean?
I'm convinced. It's going to be really interesting to see where it goes. But when you have these incredible social environments with no friction, it's really hard to it's kind of hard to compete with that, and B, it's just such a great playground for players.
Yeah. And you know what I think it's going to be? It's going to be that when it gets to the level of your character / avatar can transcend these metaverses. So imagine if like your character, your skin could go from Roblox to UEFN, like cross-platform now. Like when we play Fortnite.
I think everybody's tuning out right now because they think this is a commercial for
Explain jargon. No, that's not. That was your note. Explain. No, seriously, I think that's where it's going to go. I think it's going to be, you're going to wake up, you're going to have your avatar, you're going to have a skin. Maybe you want to be a hot dog, but you get to be that hot dog, like your Tesla.
Wherever you go.
Wherever you go, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's going to be the thing that really
like
brings
your character can be as personal as your handle or your gamer tag.
Yes, and then that's connected to your bank account and your social security and
then it's an NFT and it's driven by AI. Yeah.
AI, yeah. And then next thing you know,
you got
you're
living
living in an apocalyptic hell and
Okay.
everything. Yeah.
There you go. Nice little VC sandwich. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our second season. Very, very excited to share our conversation with John Romero, the creator of Doom. Hope you enjoy it. And here you go.
There you go. Leveling up your game dev career but not sure where to start?
Maybe you're trying to break into the industry, looking to connect with other people who are making games.
Consider joining the International Game Developers Association, the IGDA, the world's largest nonprofit member-driven professional association serving all individuals who create games.
I was in the IGDA in Chicago, met a lot of people, great way to network.
The IGDA exists to support and empower game developers around the world in achieving fulfilling and sustainable careers.
Discounts,
educational and advocacy-based resources,
mentorship,
and solidarity across 160 plus chapters.
To join the IGDA, visit igda.org/membership and use the code IGDA 4th Curtain 15, no spaces there,
to get 15% off 1- and 2-year memberships, as well as a student membership.
Joining the IGDA is a great move for your career, and as a nonprofit supporting everyone making games, it's a great move for the whole community. Join today.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Fourth Curtain, everyone. I feel like today's episode needs some kind of special drum roll or something grand and festive because we have with us a true legend and founding father of video games, John Romero. John got his start, in games in the 80s and had early experiences at Origin and Softdisk. If I get anything wrong, John, you just jump right in. But in 1991, the same year, by the way, that I started Bungie, John founded id Software, responsible for Commander Keen, Castle Wolfenstein, Doom, Quake, some important vocabulary like deathmatch. I believe you did coin that,
Really?
that phrase.
Yeah.
and so much more. Also founded Ion Storm, Gazillion, and of course the eponymous Romero Games. A true icon and hero of gamers everywhere. I watched the Twitch stream, the 30th anniversary last night.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that was cool.
Holy smokes, it's so great to hang out. Welcome to the show, John. How are you?
Doing great. Yeah, it's really busy with Sigil 2 just releasing, so it's been a lot of fun.
What's that like? I mean, like, so Doom, holy cow, 30 years of Doom. What's that like? And you're still in it.
It's an update. Yeah, it's an update to
Yeah.
the game, right? It's
Yeah.
like more Doom.
You just made maps in a 30-year-old tool chain and editor, basically.
Yeah.
Were you swearing at your computer, or was it like, oh, this is like butter because it used to run slow back in the day? What was it like?
So the funny thing is that when we made Doom, we used next up workstations that were really fast. So,
Yeah.
making levels on next up was amazing. It was fast. DOS just ran the game. Like, we never did anything actually in DOS for Doom. It was just copy the latest executable, which we actually cross-compiled. Like, we compiled it on NextStep for x86, and then we just copy it to our drive on our C drive on DOS. And then same with levels. I would just like BSP the level on the NextStep, and then I would just copy it from the network drive to the C drive, and then just load the level up inside of Doom. So it was very smooth. And today, the game source was put out in 1997, so the game looks incredible on all operating systems, and the tools are just so much better than like what I wrote in a few months, because these tools have been maintained for years, and it's just like amazing to make levels today.
That's pretty cool. Was there a build of the game that ran on NextOS?
Yes. Yeah, we used we even got like the engineers at Next Computer gave us access to the Interceptor API, which was their super fast screen blitting low level functionality, just so we could have like a block on the screen. It didn't even need to be in a window or anything. It was just like it can render directly to anything on the screen and go full speed, so we could actually do that.
Was Next the computers that Steve Jobs was making, like his other company?
Yeah.
The
Yep.
Cube thing? Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, that was basically, he got kicked out of Apple. He founded Next Computer, and then Apple bought the whole thing for $450 million and made him interim CEO and then permanent CEO.
Oh, wow.
Next was like a RISC architecture chipset, right? Like one of the first.
Next computers were about 4 or 5 architectures. So it was Intel, it was 68K, it was PA RISC, it was another type of RISC processor that I think IBM put out. But it basically it was about 4 or 5, and so what you could do is, like, when I'm writing DoomEd, say I'm coding it, I could compile it for all those architectures, and it would store all of those in one file. And whenever you ran the app on any architecture, it would run the correct assembly on that machine. So it like no one needed to worry about what the chip was, running next step on it. Yeah, it just worked.
Okay.
I just saw a thread on Twitter with Doom running on like the most random stuff, like a EKG monitor or something. Like,
well,
just it was like everything.
We should tell John. We had Jonathan Blow on a little while ago, and he told us a story about how he was porting Doom to like a Comcast set-top box, or I don't know if it was Comcast, but it was a cable box, basically.
Yeah. I mean, if it has a display, it'll run
right,
Doom.
yeah.
It'll run it.
Yeah. So Aaron and I we were having this debate. Are you a Mac user today, or no? Or do you use like a?
Yeah,
you
I fully switched over in 2007. I started on. I started on the Apple II, right?
Yeah.
In 1980, and then I switched to the PC in '89. So I had 9 solid years of Apple, and then I switched to the PC in '89, and I switched back in 2007, and have been using Mac all day long, and I have a PC because I play games and I'm making games using Unreal 5, and so I have a PC just to do that, but the Mac is what I do everything on. There's no way I would be using a Windows machine for like non-game
Day to
stuff.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my original Mac right back here, which is
Oh, nice.
so yeah. Welcome back to the Apple side.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but
I have
nice to
a
have you back.
question for you with regards to what you're doing now with like Sigil. There has been this like resurgence of these kinds of games. It's almost like the new pixel art, right?
Boomer shooter.
Yeah, boomer shooter, right? So
Yeah.
I was wondering, because I saw this video of you with the what is it called? It's myhouse.wad,
Yeah.
I think.
Yep,
which
yep,
is
yep.
crazy. So, and I was wondering, so whenever you left id, did you keep modding Doom, or did you stop while you did all this stuff? And then did you just come back to it recently, or or have you been doing stuff in between?
I came back in 2016. So I left in 1996. So 20 years.
No Doom. No Doom edit, no maps?
Nothing. No Quake, no Doom, no Heretic, no Hexen. I didn't make any levels for any of my previous games until 2016. I was just busy making games, like actual games, not mods. So the whole time.
So what did it feel like coming back? Like, did it just come back to you like riding a bicycle?
Easy. Yeah, not even nothing to think. I didn't even have to think about it because it's all the same data. The game didn't change. So, I have hyperthymesia, so I remember everything. And making maps is just I don't even need to think about it. It's so easy.
Hey, that reminds me. I have your book, and I have read it. I wanted to, for everybody listening, this is John's book, Doom Guy. Life in First Person. I wanted to thank you for writing it. I very much enjoyed it. I said the same. I don't know if you've read Cliff Bleszinski's book, but very different, but both relate a lot of personal story, which I find just so A, fascinating, B, inspiring. I love to hear about the things you struggled with as much as the triumphs, because I think that makes it, it makes everything so personal, so thanks for writing it.
Yeah, no problem.
For those of you listening, I recommend reading it if you want to know a lot of things. It's not just about
there's a lot of stuff not in any interviews ever published. I would love to read. I just love reading books about people that are in game dev, how they grew up, their backgrounds, the stuff that they like, how long it took to get good before they actually made a game, because that usually is a long time.
I know, me too. And this was kind of what the show's about. So, like,
we're not going to do the whole book, though.
Yeah,
but the thing you just said, like, how long does it take to get good? I mean, I don't know that people are very familiar with Wolfenstein.
You had a ton of games before that, right?
Certainly not your first game.
Wolfenstein was my 87th game.
Yeah, I was going to say 86.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that is amazing. But like the first things that you were working on, I mean, what were they like? Like the first, like do you remember the first game you made?
Yeah, the first game I made was in 1979 on a mainframe. I went to, well, you read the book, so I went to the local college when I was 11 years old, and I taught myself how to program on the mainframe there. I was asking a lot of questions, but eventually someone just gave me the HP Basic book, and I could sit down and try to kind of create a game similar to Adventure, Colossal Cave Adventure, which is that was the hot game back then. And so I was just trying to make a game where I could go from room to room and have a description and move around. And that's, in Basic, that's pretty easy. There weren't any graphics at that time because it was a terminal. But as soon as I saw the Apple II in 1980, that was the computer I really wanted to spend my time on. Finally got one in 1982 at home, and that was like, I was done being a normal kid going outside. I was pretty much always on the computer, learning as much as I could and just making game after game after game. And I started selling those games to various magazines or discs, like on disc. I would make games like in 1983, I made so many games, and many of those we were published years later in 1987, just because I made so many that I then would send them out later, and they would get published. And I remember I wrote a 2-line program in 82, I think it was, and it got published in '83, but I didn't find out about it until a few years ago. So I thought my first game published, my first published thing was in '84, in June of '84. In Insider Magazine, they published a game I made called Scout Search. And then I find out not that long ago that there was a company called Beagle Brothers back in the early '80s that
Oh,
did
yeah.
programmers utilities and stuff. They were the best. Bert Kersey was just a legend. And I entered Uncle Louie's two-liner contest, and he published my two-liner in his big tip book #1 in 1983, and it's Silicon Salad too, which is a disc-based thing that he did. So I found out like my first published thing was actually in '83 instead of '84.
That's cool.
What's a two-liner? What's a two-liner like?
It's
like,
basically, when you're typing in BASIC on an Apple II, the input buffer is from 100 hex to 1FF. So it's only 255, characters, because they don't let you do the last FF. So you have 255 characters, and what happens is BASIC takes your input and it tokenizes it down into, print the keywords and then the data. So 2 lines, that's basically 510 bytes. Type characters is what you can type
Okay.
in for 2 lines. And
so you can get
2
multiple
lines,
commands with like a semicolon
Yeah.
or something? And
Yeah,
string?
colon.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do a colon
that's
and
right.
do another
Okay.
command, a colon command. And so you just do as much as you can. Some people, they might do a little assembly language thing by having a for loop that does a read of data and poking into memory or something. Some people do that. Most people just have like formulas and stuff in these 2 lines. And mine was basically, I knew that Bert Kersey was a comedian, that he was really funny. He liked humor, so I wrote a 2-liner that was funny. And it basically was a 2-line program called Pulse Meter, and it said, put your thumb on the space bar. And as you held it, it went on the screen like it was like this, like it was reading your pulse, which it couldn't do, of course.
Yeah.
Right. I do remember. I remember reading about that in the book. It was a total ham.
Yep.
What college was that actually? With the one where you went to with no terminal? Was that in Texas?
Sierra College. No, that was in Rockland, California. I grew up in Northern California, and from 8 years old until about, I think, 15, and then I moved to England after that. Went to an RAF base. Went to an American high school on an RAF base because it was the Cold War, and my dad was involved in the reconnaissance part of the Cold War, just spying on Russians, and his job was to get all of the recorded data off the black boxes that were in the U-2 and the TR-1 spy planes flying over Russia.
Oh.
So wait, so where are you in Ireland now? Are you continuing in your father's footsteps?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I'm sure he will admit too.
Yeah, he's like, he
Oh,
got
yeah,
quiet.
of
He's
course.
just like,
Yeah. I can't tell you my spy name.
So 86 games before
Wolfenstein.
What number are you at now, John?
180 maybe, something like that. Because 87 was in 1992. If you go to mobygames.com, you can kind of see the what they don't list on Moby Games are games that were canceled or games that were just never published. And I have a ton of at least 40 unpublished games. I have the name of every single one of them. I have the name of every single utility or tool that I wrote, because you don't make games without tools. So I have a ton of those from the 80s and 90s.
Super prolific, but that's on the back of being, and I'm going to assume, a hard worker.
Oh yeah.
Where's that? Where do you get your like work ethic and drive from? Like,
you know what? I think it's cultural. My family is Native Americans on the Yaqui and Cherokee, and I grew up Mexican, and we basically work all the time. Like if you look in the United States, people who make the food, they do maintenance, and they build. They build the houses. They keep it nice outside. Like all of that work is mostly done by Mexicans in the U.S. And I'm in Ireland, and that does not happen over here. There's like almost no Mexicans over here doing anything like that. And it's so interesting that there's that culture in the U.S.
My family's from Mexico. You speak Spanish?
No, I know that I could learn Spanish at any time, like I could learn C++, but um, I just wasn't. I was forbidden to learn Spanish when I was a kid because of my my dad mainly, being worried that I would experience any kind of prejudice by anybody. They didn't want me to even have any kind of just an accent even. And he tried to speak English very whitely, and you could still hear he had an accent because he spoke Spanish pretty much all the time until he's at work and then he's at home. But when he's growing up, that's pretty much what he spoke all day long. Um, but he didn't know, nobody knows what the future holds, so he didn't know that like the world would actually get more integrated and in social and like understanding and all that. But yeah, I would love to know to know it, but I am so busy that there's no time.
It's the easiest language in the universe, just so you
I
know.
know.
It's like really
I can listen to people talking it and kind of understand it too. I've been around Spanglish forever.
That's true. Do you know any Gaelic? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, because it's Irish here, so Gaelic is kind of Scottish.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
It's more, when you say Gaelic, it means mostly Scottish, and then Irish is Irish. And so
I didn't know that.
been picking it up here and there. My wife is much better than I am at Irish.
Irish.
But they have areas in Ireland that it's called the Gaeltacht, and those are areas where only Irish is spoken. So if you go into any stores or whatever, they ignore English. It's
Wow.
Irish. You have to speak.
Huh. Wow. Well, do you have any culture shock living over there? Anything surprising that's like, this is different?
Yeah. It's funny because Irish are so similar. I mean, because they speak English, right? But when you live in Ireland, the culture shock it's almost a reverse culture shock. It is a wow, I don't need to worry about getting shot by anybody or knifed or anything. There's no road rage. People are very chill here, and the undercurrent of aggression that you feel in the United States. Well, you don't know it though. You don't know it until you leave it. And it's not like it's always bad, right? So it's like you wouldn't say it's bad that people want to race you on the street. Maybe it's dangerous, but in the US people would love to just hit the gas and take off. Doesn't happen over here, because they didn't grow up with two lanes next to each other. It's usually one lane going one way and one lane coming the other way. So you don't even have an opportunity to have any kind of racing. So there's a million little things everywhere. Honking your horn is basically forbidden, so it's quiet. They speak in a lower tone of voice because you don't need to yell to communicate. And it's just a million things. It's just so many things are different, but it's just all in the very positive side of like people over here, people make a people decision before a money decision, and that's universal over here.
Yeah. It sounds nice.
It's extremely nice. I'm never leaving.
Do you drive on the left side of the road there?
Yep.
Did that take any getting used to?
No, I took my first driving lessons on the left side of the road because I grew up, partly in England.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got some muscle memory there.
Yeah.
I came over. I have an uncle who lived in the UK, and we came over for a visit. And I'm driving my brother around in this rental car, and we get to London to visit. It's a second cousin, whatever. And I distinctly remember just making a right-hand turn onto a street. And I'm driving down the street, and I
Ooh.
suddenly realized I'm driving on the wrong side of the street.
Yeah. Oh shit.
And cars are coming at me. Like I didn't know what to do. How do I
wow.
recover? Do I pull over to
Yeah.
the left? Pull over to the right? I just stopped.
Yeah.
My
You're like,
brother was asleep too.
collect yourself. Yeah. Like we almost died.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
It's like-
planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or vacation where they're all sleeping.
Exactly. All right. Well, so how old were you when Wolfenstein 3D came out? And would you say, was that your breakout? Would you say, or would you say
Yep,
Doom was really
yep.
more the breakout?
Yeah, I'd say so. It was a breakout in the sense that it got extremely popular. Commander Keen was really the breakout, the first one. And it was massive for us. It was that we could start a company based off of it. And before that, I felt like I was doing really, really well all the way up. Getting to Origin and then leaving Origin and learning the PC as fast as I could to do something cool on PC. The funny thing is, I felt really defeated in '89 when the whole 8-bit world crashed and burned because like it was really like 8-bit computers were just underpowered compared to the way PCs were improving year after year. And I, after spending so many years programming in games in assembly language and like trying to make the best game I could in the 80s, it was like, well, that's over. And okay,
Now what?
I have to start over. I have to start over on a PC. And so I started learning the PC as fast as I could. Getting all the any assembly language, anything that I could get my hands on to learn the BIOS, to learn all the ports, to learn everything. And it was funny because I felt like I just failed because I didn't do it in the 80s. And then within a year and a half, the best game I ever made was out, which was the Keen at the time. It was just, and it was because of a team, it was a team game.
Yeah.
And, I had like the best, 4-person team ever. So that was huge. And then we just went like a rocket from there.
Yeah. And that the 4-person team, that's you, John Carmack, was Adrian Carmack.
Yep. Adrian Carmack and Tom Hall.
And Tom. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is I mean, I was listening to the Twitch stream and somebody was asking about the comparison to the Beatles, but that's a Fab Four right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that funny? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we made 20 games together, before Doom.
Wow.
But like
wow,
it was
wow,
just
wow.
and then just between 1990 and 1990, but the years 90, 91, 92, we made 20 games.
I don't know if I sort of got this right, but like when I was reading the book, it sounded to me like you're a programmer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Audio, you did audio design. Yeah,
Level.
design. But also entrepreneur.
Yeah, business.
You built that business. I mean, and I don't remember when Jay started.
Yeah, he started in 92 on April 1st. And I had known him since 86.
Jay Wilbur, who's probably owns like his own island now. I don't know. But,
yeah. Yeah, he took the engine licensing idea over to Epic, and they did an amazing job there. And it was funny because Marroquin was there before Jay because he was
right
with us just before Jay.
I didn't even that was a surprise to me. I didn't know Mark was involved at Marroquin was involved at
he contacted us as a beta as a player, and he found a bug in Keen 2, and I was like, whoa, you're really smart. When you want to be a beta tester, and he's like, how about I be your biz guy?
It sounds like Mark. But okay, so you like have a command over all of those aspects of making games and building a company.
Yeah.
When you're 24, 25, 26, and things are really starting to take off, how are you thinking about yourself? Like, what are you identifying with? Are you like, okay, how am I going to keep this train rolling? What am I going to work on?
Yeah, we all made decisions on, what was the next thing that we're going to make, but also there's like the business. How do we make, we got to make money, and we need to keep the money in the company to be able to keep making games, right? You don't want to like bring money in, and then everybody takes all of it, because we
And then
own the
there's no money
company.
left.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's no money
Yeah.
left. Like, yeah. So it was like, it was important to keep the company with all the money in it, so we could have great computers, everything that we need in the office, um, and so that's kind of that was the idea. But then it was like, how do we best profit off of what we're doing and own as much as we can without giving things away? So like that's why we still owned our IP when we worked with Apogee. We owned Wolfenstein and Commander Keen and Sphere of Destiny, all that stuff. So that was important to us that we
How
retained
did
our
you
IP.
know? Yeah, how did you know
Yeah, I
that
was
that
gonna
was
ask the same
important? Like
thing. Yeah.
at 24,
Yeah.
25, how did you know
Did they
the
offer
value
that?
here, where the value was? Yeah.
Did Apogee give you that option, or did you?
Was that like gut instinct, or did somebody say something to you, or like how'd you know? Like as a kid, really,
It's almost like, hey, this is something I own that I made. Why would I just give it away and like sign it away for whatever amount of money? When Apogee was really the first publisher that we worked with that was like a real publisher that we could do more we could do multiple games with, versus the other stuff that we would sell stuff to soft disk, and the stuff we were making at soft disk was really like one-off stuff. It wasn't planned to be like a franchise. So it was just like, here you can have this, and here you can have this other thing, because at that point everything I was doing was new. I rarely made like a sequel that was like a serious sequel to something. It was always a new idea and a new game. When we started working with Scott Miller, he was also an author. He was making stuff and he was publishing. Like, he knew what it was like. So he was all for us keeping our IP and not us signing it away to him. He could make good money in shareware selling our stuff, and him keeping the IP. I don't think at that point he saw that was like a lot of value. What was valuable was making money off the sale of the product.
Right.
So he did not, in any our contracts were like one pagers back then. So there was nothing that was like, we own your IP. It was like, yeah, you guys own your own thing that you make, and he's gonna sell it for us. So it was almost like the kind of deal that people wanted to get to. It was a distribution deal, and so the
Right.
reason why it started that way is because he didn't pay us to make a game, which is the typical publisher route, where they pay all the money, all the dev cost, and then they feel that to recoup that they should own the IP itself as well. For us, we did this on our own time, so he didn't pay us money for development. He gave us $100 checks to incentivize us to make to make the game on weekends, which we were going to do anyway. So, and it wouldn't have made sense to us to like, well, we're putting in all the risk here doing this on our own time. Why should you just be able to take it away? So
Okay.
it was kind of a thing that didn't come up because it didn't make sense. It was the like, we're taking all the risk in making this thing, and we will allow you to sell it.
Yeah.
And so that was the business deal at the very beginning. And
Yeah.
and over the years, it was just like, you find out that IP is really where it's all at.
Yeah.
Owning that IP is really important.
Yeah.
Like, speaking of which, it's like, so Doom, or id, was acquired by Bethesda. I don't remember how many years ago, but then Bethesda is now part of Microsoft.
Yeah.
I've watched things that I've worked on change hands a few times.
Yeah.
How is that? Do you look at that in a particular way at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why things happen like that. I know initially I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that with ZeniMax. And then like the same day I was like, actually, that's a really good thing. And so I just said, congratulations and everything, because it wasn't like they needed the money. Like, when we were self-generating like revenue for, like, we never had a loan at the company. Like, we worked on our own time outside, and then put everything we had into the company, and then just created things that would then generate a bunch, and then you do income stacking. So the company is making money on multiple things every month. And over the years, that really adds up, and it looks really good to companies that want to acquire you. So when you can do that and you're ready to, that's a cool thing to do. Sometimes you don't want to be running a company all the time. So it was good for good for them to do that, and let a company with a bunch of biz guys in it, in analytics and marketing and all that kind of stuff, a much bigger organization, steer you towards success. And because they wouldn't acquire you if they didn't want you to be successful. So that was actually a really good thing. And they did. It's unbelievable the amount of I guess trust that Bethesda had in id to get through that Doom 2016 development period to make such a great game. It was like, how do you translate this classic game to a modern audience and still retain what mattered in the first game and do it really, really well? So the execution on that was just, unprecedented pretty much.
So Microsoft owns Marathon and Doom?
Actually, I don't think Microsoft owns Marathon. They own Halo. They own Doom. They own Call of Duty.
Yep.
Oh, but they don't own. Do they own Bungie? They don't own Bungie, right? Bungie's its own.
No, Bungie's at Sony now.
Sony now.
That's right. Sony owns Bungie.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on?
Bonkers. It's bonkers. But I mean, I gotta imagine, like, so yeah, Doom is now part of the catalog at Microsoft, which I look at it like it's immortal.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I mean, I think Microsoft's going to be around for a while,
Yep,
and
they have been.
So what better place
since the beginning,
Right. It boggles my mind how this industry has evolved and changed and grown. And so how many companies have you actually started?
10.
10.
Yeah.
I don't know about all of them. I mean, so there's
it was my fourth company.
Okay, it was your fourth. Okay.
Yeah. So my first games on the Apple II were a company called Capital Ideas Software, and I published about 15 of my games that I made under that very first game company name. Then I founded a company called Inside Out Software after I was at Origin. I quit Origin with my manager.
That's right.
And we founded Inside Out Software, where I did Might and Magic 2 for the Commodore 64, porting it basically from the Apple II double res to the Commodore 64 mixed mode display. And right after that was a company called Ideas from the Deep, which was with my friend Lane. And we did a couple of games, 2 or 3 games that we published through that company. And then id Software was right after that. And then Ion Storm, and then Monkey Stone Games, and then Gazillion, and then Loot Drop, and then Romero Games, and then another one called Romero Events.
Ooh, okay. What I don't know about Romero Events. What's Romero Events?
We do a lot of speaking all over the place. And basically we're going to events. We're doing going to conventions. We're selling merch. We are speaking on stage. We do corporate speaking. So it's a whole side kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. So it's kind of sharing your experience and everything. Around the world. That's awesome. But do you? So I think, I don't know. It seems like the world probably thinks of you as a designer first.
Yeah.
Do you think of yourself as a designer first or an entrepreneur?
That's what I was going to ask. It's like
programmer.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I mean, I spend my all day in design pretty much.
So are you programming now? What are you doing now?
I would do that out at home. But at work, it's basically all direction game. I'm the game director on my game, and it's all about design.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
UE5,
are you doing stuff in Blueprint? Are you getting in there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, because I don't have time to. But the team, the non-coders are doing some initial things there, and then it gets translated into C++.
Into C++. Okay.
Yeah.
So is this game? I don't know how much you could say, but is it a boomer shooter or is it next gen graphics?
It is
like current gen.
it's
I
an
guess.
FPS that uses Unreal 5 that is backed by a major publisher.
Breaking
That's all
news,
I can say.
everybody.
Yeah, that's all I can say.
You heard it here first, folks.
You
Yeah,
heard it here
That's out
first,
there
yeah.
already.
fourth curtain
Yeah, yeah.
exclusive. Yeah. When are you gonna announce officially or show
Yeah,
something?
it's up to them.
It's up
Yep.
to them. Okay.
Yeah.
He's good at this.
Yeah.
Like,
They've been around a little bit. But all right. So, like a lot of your formative years were like kind of bootstrapped, organically grown.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's why you were able to kind of, build things on your own terms, own the IP, all of that. Do you think that's possible today? Like you're talking about the project that you have right now, it's backed by a publisher. So I assume you did some sort of funding deal where it's different. It's just different than how things were in the old days. Like, do you think that kind of bootstrapped approach is possible today?
Yeah. I mean, there are so many indies making great games. They're doing it on their own. They're making own little companies. And you never know when something is just going to break out and change the world. It's going to happen again. Like Minecraft did it. It's going to happen again.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
We just don't know when or how or where. But people are, experimenting all the time. And yeah, people are bootstrapping constantly and learning. And that it's funny. Like I get asked by people every once in a while, which is just like, how can I get money to make my game? And I'm like, if you haven't made one before, forget it. Nobody knows who you are. Why would they give you money? And
Yeah.
you need to do it on your own at night and show people what you can do, and that'll get attention. And people need to see demos, if they're going to give you money. So that's always the just like that's what we did. No one was going to do anything. Like even the fact that Scott Miller gave us 2,000 to start. When we talked about doing Commander Keen, I said, "Show you're serious, $2,000." And he's like, "Absolutely." And the reason why is because I had sent him already a demo of what we could do. Like he saw it, and so it was just like, he's like, "This is gonna change everything. Of course, I'm gonna spend $2,000." And then we made Keen in 2.5 months, and boom, came out.
Wow.
Just
That's
like
nuts,
that,
2.5
I know the
months.
numbers just boggle the mind.
Those are
like,
3
just-
games
Yeah.
in 2.5 months.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. 3 games? How is it 3
Yeah,
games?
it was a collection of games called Commander Keen in Invasion of the Vorticons. Episode 1 is Marooned on Mars. Episode 2 is The Earth Explodes, and episode 3 is Keen Must Die. And it's a
there's different
trilogy,
mechanics.
right?
Okay.
It's the same mechanics, but it's a trilogy.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
the same.
story
Yeah.
that goes in 3 different locations. One's on Mars, the second one is on a Vorticon mothership that's hovering above Earth, ready to blow it up, and the third one is on the Vorticon 6, which is the home planet. And Keen is going straight there to get rid of the Grand Intellect, who's the one that sent to the Vorticons to destroy Earth and all that. And the Grand Intellect ends up being Commander Keen's boy, enemy nemesis, Mortimer McMire. So he's like another little kid who's 13, who's one IQ point higher than Keen. And Keen's IQ is 314, like 3.14 pi, and in 15 is Mortimer, which is also 1415. So anyway, Keen is
That's
yeah.
awesome.
There's a whole lot of story behind Commander Keen, and it was we started it at the end of September, and it shipped on December 14th, and so we spent
insane.
October, November at night, and fully on weekends, making all 3 of those games. And to do it quickly, we had to invent the idea of an engine that could work on different data. So the core part of the game didn't need to change all the time. It was all the tiles, the sprites, the sound effects, music. Well, there wasn't music on those first games. That stuff needed to change, but the engine was going to have a lot of the same mechanics and functionality.
Yeah.
So why would that need to
Was that
change?
like the first instance of creating a game with that concept of game engine,
Yeah.
separated from the game data, so
Yeah.
that the game creation is faster because if they're separated, they're not as interdependent.
Yeah, because games before that point in the 80s were very intertwined. Like
Yeah.
code and data were like, sometimes you would even link your data in with your code, to make it, smaller in memory and not have stuff loading up in memory blocks and eating up sparse, memory.
What were you doing during the day?
Yeah. Were you still working? Were you guys working for soft disk during the day
Yeah.
and then making Keen
Yep.
at night?
Yeah, I
You
was.
did
I
Keen in
That's
3
I
months.
started
amazing.
I started a disc a bi-monthly disc magazine called Gamer's Edge, and what we were doing was making a game every 2 months, and they get sent to subscribers, so they get 6 a year, and people would subscribe for a year. And so in 2 months we're making a game together. And during that time, it's like, well, we're making a game from 10 to 6. But like when we're doing Commander Keen at 6, we change directories and we start making Keen until about 2 in the morning, and then we go home and then we're back at 10.
I'm getting tired just thinking about
But Aaron, that's like what we're doing
Are
now.
y'all-
Like, John, I don't know if you know, but we're
Yeah,
actually
it's
working
insane.
on games on UEFN inside of Fortnite, and our like game cycles are like 2-3 months long.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Are you full remote?
We are not full. No, we have an office. I'm in my office right now, actually, at work, and yeah, we just got a new office down the street. So we got a newer office. We're keeping this one too, but we just need more space because we've been hiring more people, and there'll be more people on site. So we just have to have some more space for everybody. But yeah, we do have a lot of people who are remote. It's the cool thing is that you can make a really great team when you are that flexible, because you can get the best
Yeah.
people no matter where they're at.
Yep.
The
Yeah,
hybrid
for sure.
solution. Yeah.
Yeah. How has it been recruiting where you are? Are there other game studios around in Galway, or
Yeah.
what's the scene like?
Yeah, there's in Ireland there's at least 40 studios, and even Electronic Arts has 400 people at the end of town, but they're not game devs, but they're support, support for the organization, support for the games. And they're doing a little bit of other things there. But there's a bunch of game dev studios, like the biggest one, a couple big ones, Black Shamrock in Dublin, and Digit, which is owned by Scopely, is also in Dublin,
Oh, yeah.
among a
Okay.
bunch of other ones. But yeah, there's a really good scene, in Ireland, and we sometimes get together. In Galway itself, there's a game jam, maybe a couple times a year or something like that, and every month there's a game dev get together in a pub where people talk about their latest things if they can.
Of course, it would be in a pub. That makes sense.
Yeah. Plus, things are so remote now. People are used to doing things online, like game jams online, even.
Yeah.
Not just in person. Although I really like doing it in person.
Have you found your tastes have changed? Since the 90s. I mean, you're making an FPS, so you're still into the genre that you invented. But have you found that your tastes have changed, like what you're playing, or like how you think about the kinds of things you want to make?
Yeah. I mean, not really, because I feel that when I was a kid, I was playing cards and board games and all kinds of things that were not computer games, and I still like board games. Like they're even better now.
Yeah, they're
Um,
so good.
Yeah, they're really, really good. And, playing games on computers and playing games on consoles and now mobile. There's some really good stuff, in VR, and just new things come out that expand the boundaries of what a game is. And it's just exciting, and those things just keep on adding to what do I like, It's kind of like I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. I don't just like listen to heavy metal you know.
Anything surprising? Anything surprising that you listen to? Are you a Swiftie?
What is that? Swifty.
That's
What is
awesome.
that?
So I'm guessing
The
no.
Ta-
It's Taylor Swift.
That's what they called the Taylor
yeah.
Swift fans.
That's right. That's right. No, actually, she's really
I'm proud of you that you don't
She's-
know, John.
Oh,
Like,
come on. She's
level up. No,
She's-
I'm glad it's.
she's good though. I mean, really, really. Lady Gaga's amazing. You know, Taylor Swift is amazing. But the thing I really like to sometimes do is find an 80s group that I never heard of that actually is good, or new groups that play, you know, make songs that are great like the 80s. There's one called Meridian that's really, really good, and they made
Okay.
there's an album called The Fourth Dimension that's you'll love it. Like if you like
All
80s
right.
late
Oh, yeah.
80s metal, it's excellent. And it's, you know, it's not a couple of years old. No, it's 2 years old maybe, something like that, 1 or 2 years old. But yeah,
They probably call it boomer metal, to go along with the boomer shooters.
Have you ever heard the metal from I think it's is a Mongolian band that sounds like Metallica?
yeah, you know what? I think I have heard about that. I did. That's funny because there's a Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Have you heard of that?
Oh,
No.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because the founders of Savatage made that group.
Yeah. That's they've been around for a while though, right?
Yeah. They've been around for a while as Trans-Siberian and Savatage. You know, I think they came out in the mid '80s or something.
Yeah, we had in our last studio Serge Tonkian, who's part of System of a Down.
Serge
was
is
doing the
great.
music.
Yeah, I love Serge.
He does.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
He does the orchestra. Is that what that is? The orchestra he's
No,
He
I
did
think
like an orchestra
Trans-Siberian
thing.
Orchestra is different, right?
Yeah,
Oh, he's
it
not
is.
part
It's
of that.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
but Serge does a lot of like collabs with different groups and stuff. But he's really great.
So what keeps you motivated these days? Like, having a company and making a game, especially one with a budget, that's taxing. It's a grind, can be. But what keeps you running downstairs in the morning like, yes, let's go.
Creativity. Being able to make things, and just I don't even think about it much, but if you do think about the fact that like a lot of people on a daily basis aren't just making something out of an idea constantly, and it's really fun to do that. I've done that my whole life. Think something up and then make it real, and just like getting really good at doing that and coming up with new ways of doing it or ways to think about it. Just because I mean, the amount of aspects that are part of creative endeavors is, this is the reason why I'm still making things. Because if you do the same thing for a really long time, you could get just tired of it. But if you move around, like move from programming to design to audio to levels to business to art to narrative, it's all exciting. There's so much stuff to learn, and you'll never learn any one of those things fully. You can't unless all your time is spent in one single thing. And then it's exciting because if you're at the edge, that's always like the really, really fun place to be, is where there's nothing beyond where you're at. And you're trying to push the edge. That's really fun. And everyone's, there's a lot of people trying to do that nowadays. But knowing how to do a lot of things is also great, because you can kind of at least get people who are really talented and kind of help them with some of the basic stuff that and as they get much better.
It's awesome to hear that what gets you excited is trying new things, being creative. I'm guessing there's an aspect of learning new things as well. That's part of that. When you're
every
always
day.
context switching.
Every
Yeah.
day. Yeah, every single day. It's great, especially when you're working with a team of people. And you hire people who are incredible at what they do, and if you talk to them, you're going to learn something. So it's always really great to learn something new from people who are great at something. It's like, tell me about this, lighting or whatever, and you just get a bunch of info that you never had.
Yeah, you level up.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. All right, John. Thank you so much for spending. I think it must be late for you. It must be your evening, our morning.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Thank you so much for spending the evening with us. It's great to chat.
Yeah.
And
Same
best of luck with the game with Sigil and the game that you're working on
new
now.
game.
Can't wait to hear about it. I know
Yeah.
you'll give us a ring, I'm sure, like right before it's announced, so we can be
Yep.
part of the party. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Pleasure to
we'll
meet
see
you
you
too.
around.
Same here. Thanks for having me on.
What a cool cat! I
Yeah.
can't.
Very nice guy.
John Romero is one person who has been around my career, my entire career, and I can't believe that I've never had a chance to hang out with him until this. Really like that guy, and
You
oh
never
my gosh,
saw him at the shows?
I saw him. No, I probably said hi, but like we never hung out. But here's the big surprise for me: he's a Mac guy now.
He was always a Mac guy. Wasn't he a Mac guy and then a PC guy, then a Mac guy again? His first games were Mac.
Stop. Apple II is not a Mac. Okay.
What is it then?
Apple II, it was a different computer. It was Apple's first computer. It was it was
Okay,
not
for
a
me,
Mac.
Mac.
It's the same
It's
thing
like
as Apple.
it's like
Okay.
saying McDonald's. It's like if you get the Filet-O-Fish or you get the Big Mac, you're still eating McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? That's how I think about it. So yeah, okay. So it's an Apple product.
I didn't think about it that way. So it was sort of, I guess I'm not surprised. He's a creative person, so it's not surprising he's using a Mac.
Do you really connect those two?
Well, for me, our early days at Bungie we were on Team Apple. We were on Team Mac. And there were all these games that were on the PC, and we were the ones on the Mac, and our fans were all just so excited that we were making games for the Mac. And when I don't know if we ever had this conversation, but when we got acquired by Microsoft, a lot of our core fans were very upset and angry that we sold the company to Microsoft. So it's always been in my head that there was
A connection.
Mac
It's like a
people,
brand.
PC people. Marathon was a Mac
Pepsi,
game. Doom was a
Coke.
PC game. We
Yeah.
were Mac developers, and John were PC developers, and to have them show up on a Mac,
But they use Mac.
It was always interesting.
Didn't they? Yeah.
They use Next. They use the Next computer.
Next, right? Yeah.
Yeah, which it's just, I don't know, that part I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's very.
I did
interesting.
I played a bunch of Doom 2016 over break, which I
Yeah, you were telling me.
I'd missed
We
it.
were
when it
gonna
came
do
out.
a stream.
It is really good.
Y'all,
I
we were
know.
gonna do
Yeah.
a stream where we played and prayed.
Where we prayed.
because you're killing demons. That's like,
Yeah, Freudian's
You're-
up there.
but yeah, we were gonna do a live stream, Alex. What happened? I bought that game, dude.
Perhaps
For
we
you.
got busy. We can still do it. Can we do
No,
it?
Just play.
We'll do it.
There's no
No.
time right now. We were gonna play 2016. I didn't know that that's what they called it too. 2016.
There's Doom Eternal.
Well, there's Doom. But they have dates next to them because there's so many Dooms. Like I went to when Alex was like, "Hey, let's play Doom. I'm playing Doom 2016. Let's play together or whatever." And I went to Steam and I bought the pack that had like 47 Dooms.
Yes,
and it was like, and the titles of them have these dates next to it. Yeah.
Well, another thing that I thought was surprising / super interesting. I forgot how this came up, but I was like, what number game was Doom for you guys? And he said
Yeah.
it was like the 90th game
Yeah, he'd worked on a ton.
he
before
had
that, yeah.
made, and I wrote down the list of the companies that he had started from. It was Inside Out Software, Ideas from the Deep, then then Iron Storm, then Monkey Stone, then Gazillion, then Loot Drop, Romero Games, and now Romero Events. That's like 9 companies, and it wasn't until the third one that had some breakout success in game number in the 80s, and till they got to Commander Keen, and it just another example of when you look back at people that are super successful, sometimes you think perfect timing, or they got lucky, or like he was young, 24.
That's part of it, though, right? That is part of
But
it.
just
I think
the grind, he was
It's
in the grind.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's literally buying lottery tickets, right? Like you're buying one every day. And okay, maybe that's a bad example. You're trying.
No.
Okay, don't listen to me, people. No, it's I'm just saying that
I know what
right
you
time.
mean.
It's a lot of ingredients. It's right time, right place, being prepared, which is what I think all of those.
Prepared. Yes.
Yeah.
I would prefer to characterize it as an investment. He continued to invest in himself over and over and over again.
Water it.
And hard work. And yes, talent. But I think the hard work and the continued investment as important as the talent to get where he got to at such a young age. And people think, I think it's easy to think that it came easy, but clearly did not come easy. And I read his book, and if you read his book, he did that in the context of, not the kind of upbringing I had, the cushy suburban Dr. Dad computer, that computer, in the house. I'm pointing to my Mac behind me.
But you're not lazy. That's not come on.
I wasn't saying I'm lazy. I'm just saying I had it easy, and not
which I think is harder. Actually, I actually think that when you have it easy, it's harder to become successful, in my opinion. In my opinion, when you have it easy, it's easier to just sit on the couch and play video games. So that is your enemy.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
I suppose it. I think it. Yeah, some people are just wired, in certain ways.
Wired.
I kind of look at it like, you get dealt you'll like this analogy. You get dealt a hand of cards, and then you got to play them, right? And some people get dealt really good cards. Some people don't, and some people, play the cards really well, and some people don't. So, I think anything that we can do as an industry to help give people better cards at the start are great. And relate John's story, I think, is fantastic because he didn't necessarily get the best deck hand of cards, but he played them really well and never gave up. So, what a great conversation.
I was watching this guy. His dad worked at Blizzard, and he worked at Blizzard. He's an engineer. This guy was showing a video, in his video, he was showing to his live stream audience the guy that did Five Nights at Freddy's. And it's the same story.
Wow.
He has hundreds of games, and he's and he's telling it. He's
that one popped out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just hey, I have this idea to make this little game. It's just do it. And every time you're making these games, whether it's paper game, whether it's digital, whatever, you're just adding to your preparedness, it's building you up one little pebble at a time.
Another reminder of how important iteration is. I guess we called it the grind earlier, but you could call it iteration. Continued reinvestment in yourself.
Yeah.
Love that. All right, special little segment, everybody. We're going to do our Steam Deck giveaway, OLED Steam Deck giveaway. Thank you, Shifty Eye Games, for making this possible.
Thank you.
And we have with us community manager Doug Zartman, who is going to help generate
Douglas Supreme.
He is going to be picking the random number. This is a double blind.
Very scientific.
I have the list of entrants, and we'll cross-ref, and we'll have ourselves a winner. So, Doug, if you could do the honors and generate the random number and spit it out.
Here we go. The number is 78.
78. All right. So
I've
got the list over here. We're looking it up down the list. Number 78. The winner is Morpheus.
Morpheus.
You gotta be kidding, dude.
Morpheus. I believe Morpheus is on our Discord. I've seen that name before.
Congratulations.
Yes, super excited to be able to give away a Steam Deck. You're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I've been having a ton of fun with mine. What's that? I was playing Doom on it over break, and I think I'm going to be playing Vampire Survivors on it this weekend.
Vampire Survivors is the best.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody.
Season 2.
Appreciate the support. Yep, and we shall see you next week.
See you later, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Fourth Curtain Podcast. The Fourth Curtain is a production of Fourth Curtain Media with community management by Doug Zartman. Lovingly edited and mastered by Brian Hensley at Noise Floor Sound Solutions in Chicago. To get a peek at upcoming episodes or to send in questions to the show, visit our site at thefourthcurtain.com. And be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again for listening.